Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah. So today I'm going to discuss something that really makes me think, why are we doing this when we've got Islam in our life? Walaikum salam, Nasser Hussain. Walaikum salam, Yusra. Walaikum salam, knowledge, power. So today I want to talk about they call themselves Muslim Defense League, and I think I should talk about it, seeing as, from my point of view, seeing as I'm very experienced with them sort of groups. And that it's alhamdulillah. Walaikum salam to you, I have. But I seen the events yesterday. I don't agree with both sides, of course. I don't agree with the MDL, and I don't agree with the Tommy Robinson MEP people as well. I've watched a lot of videos. I've watched both sides of videos, and there's a lot of racism within the people at the march yesterday, using the P word all the time. Alhamdulillah. There's never a good enough excuse to use to reference someone as with the word P-A-K-I. One of the biggest understandings, I've seen a few comments that they came together, the community, and they tried to stop the youth from doing this. Alhamdulillah, but they still carried on doing it. But alhamdulillah, I'll give you a quick summary of what I've watched. So I watched a video of the Muslim Defense League throwing stuff at the opposition. I watched a video of the other side running towards the MDL and using the P word a lot. So that's why I'm here to condemn both of them. I free myself from the Tommy movement, and I free myself from the MDL, alhamdulillah. And the reason I free myself from the Muslim Defense League is because I don't believe for 1 minute that this is what we should be doing in Ramadan, especially Ramadan. It shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't be fighting fire with fire. One thing I don't agree with. I understand that the reason why Tommy's come, so to get this reaction. This is the reactionary of why he did it. Of course, there's no other way. So if he comes to the town, he knows that it would have caused conflicts between the Pakistanis and the non-Pakistanis. That's how and the Muslims and the non-Muslims, and that's the reason why he would have done that. So you can get videos of violent Muslims and show the people, and then you can get more people voting for him. And this is how the mentality goes. This is the thing. Unfortunately, our brothers, they fell for it. They fell for it, unfortunately, and alhamdulillah, we need to. The youth need to understand that you can't act like hooligans. You can't act like yobs on the street, especially in Ramadan. You're only going to create more people to come out and vote for Tommy. That's all you're doing. This is the problem. But I've heard from many sources that the mosques tried to do everything they can to stop this. So alhamdulillah, may Allah bless. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless the mosques and the community that tried to stop this. So alhamdulillah, I think this is we shouldn't stoop to that level of going on these protests. I know I used to do it, thinking that I was going to save England and Britain, but now we've got Muslims going out thinking they're going to save Islam. But the one thing in Islam that we've got is taqwa, which is very important. The conscience of God, being the one, the supreme, the all-powerful. So basically, as Muslims, we should be humbling ourselves and leaving it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it comes to this voting, MEP vote. Man, this is not. Plus, if he's going to get voted, he's going to get voted. So no point even trying to fight against it. We've just got to have more intelligent people to stand up against it. Alhamdulillah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide our brothers from the Muslim Defence League. And if you do follow the Muslim Defence League, I advise from a sincere brother to another is to come away from that ideology, because there's no way you're going to come to common ground with the people around you. We've got to live in a society with non-Muslims. We've got to live in a society with Christians. We've got to live in a society with Jewish people. So we've got to understand each one another. We can't act like that. Yes, I know people are angry, people are upset, people didn't want him to come, and I understand that. But this is the problem. We have to humble ourselves, man. This is the month of Ramadan, alhamdulillah. The mosques do. The mosque did apparently in Oldham. The mosques apparently they went against the Muslim Defence League. Dear brothers and sisters, this is great chat. Please also subscribe. Yeah, so basically, walaikum salam. Sorry, we if you go to Jordan's channel, we spoke about it last night on a 4-hour show. But it doesn't affect us, one little bit. Alhamdulillah. It didn't affect me one little bit. I was laughing my head off. It was probably one of the funniest shows on the planet. Because, alhamdulillah. So yeah, I just wanted to come on and say my opinion on this Muslim Defence League is that us Muslims, we should try to stay. If you've got any friends who are part of this, need to say, look, brothers, come on, we need to stay away from this. We should be going to the mosque. We're fasting for Ramadan. We've got more important, bigger fish to fry in this holy month of Ramadan. We should be reading the Quran. We should be sharing, and if you're not sharing our with friends, and we shouldn't be going out and doing exactly what they want us to do, because all you're doing is feeding the narrative. What you're doing is you're walking into that trap. It's like putting a bear trap and then you walk straight into it. And every time you can't keep walking in. We can't, as brothers, we can't keep walking into this trap. They want us to stoop to that level so they can say, look at these violent Muslims, and that's what they're doing already. Every video they've put up, look at these violent Muslims. Alhamdulillah. You just get. It's like going. It's like we're taking the bait. Yes, I'm against the MDL, bro. I'm against the EDL. I'm all for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I agree that you can't let them come and abuse you, but I seen loads of videos. It was from both sides. Yes, but the thing is, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, got abused. He once got beaten, to the point where they were bleeding from his head to his toes, and he just smiled. This is not humbling yourself. It's Ramadan. But it's been both sides, because I used to be a part of the English Defence League, and the most violent people was at that time was the Antifa and the Muslims together. But yeah, you're not at war though. Not at war. That's a fallacy. You're not at war. I used to be part of the English Defence League, We're not we want at war. It's all made up rubbish in different little patches of people, and the same people do the same things. And I'm just advising Muslims to stay away from the MDL, bro, because at the end of the day, we don't want to fight fire with fire. We're Muslims. We're meant to humble ourselves away from going out and doing these sort of things. Where in the teachings of Islam does it teach us to go out when there's no war, to go out and do what the MDL did yesterday? It don't. Even the Oldham scholars was telling you not to do it. There was condemning it. I know one of the scholars from Oldham who was condemning it, and I'm like, and you still went out and did it. So this is off your own back. This is not to do with Islam. Why call it Muslim? They're not. When you say war, what do you mean? It's not a violent war, yeah. Just because they're critiquing Islam, it doesn't mean they're at war. This is the problem. People are allowed to critique Islam, but what you've got to do, yeah. You've got to go out and read books and gain knowledge. Gain knowledge so you can fight against them people who are critiquing Islam. Not sit there and not read no books and start causing wars with them on the streets. That's not Islam. Bro, I think you're emotionally attached to something that's not there. I really do. Alhamdulillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, bro. I understand. What about the non-Muslims who are thinking the Muslims are against them? This is it's a forever cycle. You're not on your own here. There's poor men and women who sit there, watch the news, watching Muslims kill people on the news, and then they're like, "Oh, the Muslims are here to kill us." So there's two sides to this, and we need to start talking as a community and not making up groups of vigilant people. This is not the way. This will not sort the problem out. You have got freedom in this country, Imran. You've got freedom in this country to express how you feel and how you are. Well, this is you. This is your problem. Your emotional problem. This is your emotional problem, and you need to sort that out. You need to start reading books. You need to start reading books on Islam. So the Muslims kill Muslims as well, but I'm not going to blame that on Muslims, bro. There's all sorts going on. MDL is just another ideology like the EDL. I would not support MDL. I will not support EDL. It's just like a far right narrative in the Muslim world. But I wouldn't call it Muslim Defense League. I'd call it. I wouldn't call it Muslim Defense League because there's no way you're a Muslim. You are a Muslim, but there's no way you can call something like that a Muslim. It's an oxymoron. You're not defending the Prophet ﷺ, really. If you stay away and don't add fuel to the fire, eventually it will die out. This is exactly it. If the EDL don't get a reaction from the other side. Tommy came to Oldham to get this reaction from people. I didn't make takfir. Listen to what I'm saying. Imran, you're emotionally attached to something. I don't know. You're emotional now. I didn't make takfir. I said you can't call a group Muslim Defense League. So Muslims don't all follow them. We follow the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So 1 minute. As Muslims listen to the ulamas and the scholars locally. Yeah, so Imran, if you can clarify why you didn't listen to the scholars and that you should be able to do what you want without listening to ulama. Brother Isa, what do the MDL do? I'm generally ignorant on the matter. Are they just the same as the EDL but the Muslim version? Like a counter protest? Why is everyone against them? So the MDL, they've become a group of Muslim brothers. Muslim brothers who are going against the English Defence League. Tommy Robinson, Tommy coming to Oldham, but there was very violent yesterday. This is not the Prophet ﷺ's way, and my advice to brothers is to start reading. Read. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is the way you will fight this way. Can't just go up to someone and just because they speak about critique your religion and start throwing stones at them. You've got to come to a common understandings. You're not following the scholars though when you're running about streets throwing stuff at people. That's not following the scholars. They asked you not to do it. There's many videos, bro. There's many videos on both sides yesterday that there were violence. Alhamdulillah. There's many. I've watched many videos, bro, and I'm. It's Ramadan as well. What are you doing on the streets protesting in Ramadan, bro? Alhamdulillah. This is not the way of the way of the Sahaba. I didn't make takfir on you either, Imran. You're emotionally defending Muslims from what? I'm defending Muslims every single day. I'm talking to the far right, bringing them away from this Islam against Islam by teaching them what Islam is, Imran. My way is more effective than you going out on the streets and then them making videos of you going, look what Muslims are doing to our streets, causing a bigger problem, causing more people to unite when it comes to the EDL and more people to come on the streets. That's all you're doing. You're causing a big, massive civil war. MDL defending Muslims. How can you follow Quran and Sunnah without learning from scholars? Scholars for dollars in Oldham. You see what I mean? You snack for Allah. How do you know scholars for dollars, man? That's an assumption, bro, man. You're walking around mosques making assumptions, man. And I'm starting to see why you're a part of MDL. You remind me of some of the guys in the EDL. That's a scary thing. Saying statements like that. Alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide you. Imran, the Quran tells you to obey. We don't listen to the scholars around here. They are corrupt themselves. Alhamdulillah. Allahu Akbar. This is the problem. If you heard his words, we run it round here. They come, MDL will show it. This is the problem. This is exactly what the problem is. This is why we've got the English Defence League. This is why we've got Tommy Robinson doing what he's doing. This is exactly why. This is exactly why I was a part of the English Defence League, because of Imran and MDL's behaviour. Before, I remember when I was a part of the English Defence League, yeah, there was people, there was the Muslims with the Antifa who called themselves MDL, and they were the ones who were causing the riots at that time. Alhamdulillah. So we run round here. If you see a sister or anyone being attacked, help them. That's okay, but try to ignore them much as you can. Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, my point is, yeah, you're only going to create something bigger by creating the Muslim Defence League. You're just creating something bigger. What you're doing, yeah, you're fighting fire with fire. The English people are going to look at it and think, "Wow, look at these," because all the far right people are going to be putting on the videos, "Oh, barbaric Muslims coming out," and this is what it's going to show. Then they're going to grow. So I'm going to invite Brother Imran from efdawah into the Brother Dr. Imran to the panel so we can discuss this as well. Alhamdulillah. From efdawah. They aren't people, Ben. They are haters. The MDL aren't violent. The first video I saw was throwing stones at people. Yes. Walaikum salam, Yasmin. I hope your Ramadan's going well. Alhamdulillah. This is exactly what Tommy wants. Exactly what Tommy wanted. He did it on purpose. And you fell for it. You fell for it. No, because knowledge will always precede the people. Like here, it's a fair country. compared to the time of the Holocaust. It was different. The Holocaust was run by people at that time. So I think Dr. Imran's going to join us from efdawah to give us his say, as he's very knowledgeable when it comes to these sort of things. And alhamdulillah, it'll be good to get his opinion, inshallah. I understand the emotions that Imran's going through, though, guys. Let's try to remember, yeah, that the emotions when you feel like your community is getting absolutely taken out. Yeah, I really do understand. I'm just sending Brother Imran an invite. It's not a fight for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, though, because you're fighting nothing. You're just creating a bigger problem. And that's my opinion. You're creating a bigger problem. From my experience in the English Defence League, you're creating a bigger problem. So what you're doing when you go out with when you go out and you do the same as what the EDL do, then they come with more, then you come with more. And where does it end up? It just ends up with groups of people fighting over Islam. So, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not be looking at that, and will not be looking at that thinking that's all right. So Dr. Imran's going to come in. He's from efdawah. He's a knowledgeable brother, so we can speak. You can ask questions, Imran, about if we should be going out and working with the MDL or not, because I don't agree with it. Alhamdulillah, 100%. I free myself from this ideology. What's beckoning. Honestly. Not from the videos what I've seen anyway. I don't even know why you're even trying to refer us to anything, really. I don't think you've got the, from my own opinion, being your emotional sort of discourse. I see you as someone who should not be making them sort of assumptions. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, but we're not in the time of Sa'ib bin Jassama. We're not in them times. What don't you understand? You're fighting the same narrative as what the EDL are fighting. You're both going to be fighting forever. There's never going to be a standstill. This is exactly my point. We can't keep going on like this. Just 1 minute, guys. I'm just trying to sort this out. Try to get brother Imran on the panel. So, end of the day, guys, we need to be defending the ummah in ways of knowledge, not ways of violence, and not ways of acting like the EDL or anything in that sort of ways. yeah, we all get emotional sometimes, and I understand that. Yeah, I understand that sometimes. I even if I read that story, it wouldn't make me go out and fight for the MDL. This is not the way of not in this day and age. Could you stop putting that in here, please? Thank you. Have some respect. I'm doing that. He said, "Please read the story of that." And so basically, we cannot. Where you being mocked, bro? No, let's not use the word brainwashed, Ben and Yusra. Let's use the word just emotionally attached to this narrative that we shouldn't be following. But alhamdulillah, we've all got our own emotions and our own thoughts, and my emotions might be on a different level to Imran's because I've been through it. I've seen what it's like to feel like your country's getting taken off you by Pakistani Muslims. I've seen what it's like to think that, to feel and to believe that the Pakistanis are here to take over. And I understand the emotion that he's got towards the Muslim Defence League. But my point stands from a guy who's been through this sort of narrative. And that this narrative, this is not the way that we're going to ever solve. This is not the way we're going to be able to solve this narrative. Yeah, but you're making the problem worse for our sisters. That's how I see it. Through logical reasoning. Logical reasoning dictates and tells me that if you carry on making groups and groups, going out and making more groups, it's going to cause more divisions. It's going to cause more problems for my sisters. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our sisters in the deen. It doesn't mean because you are a brother of Islam, you have to agree on ideological beliefs. How many times have we all had children being arrested? Well, I was racially attacked by the Pakistani Muslims. That's why I joined the English Defence League. That's why I understand you. Understand where you're coming from. We're in a different time zone compared to the Jews. I can't even believe you're trying to compare it to them. If you can compare China's what's happening in China to what's happening in World War II, maybe. I don't believe you can sit here and say you're not a free man in Oldham and you can't go walk around the streets without, alhamdulillah. I don't believe that. When Tommy arrived, in Oldham yesterday, if we as Muslims ignored him and pretended that he wasn't there, I don't mean I have to agree with efdawah though, does it? No one to blame but the likes of Ajam Chowdhury. So well, that's the reason why the EDL formed. That's another. This. They don't have this ban here. They don't have these bans here. When this starts happening, these bans start happening. Imran start banning halal meat. Then I agree. I agree with you. But when you see that from it all, when you see it from an old perspective, you can see that you're a free man. You can eat halal meat. You can go to the mosque as much as you want. Alhamdulillah. So racism exists not just in white people. You know that, don't you, Imran? The Pakistani have a lot of racist issues that they don't like to deal with as well, and so does the many the other communities. So we have to We should be ignoring people like Tommy. Tommy's just a small fish in the pond. I don't know why. Walaikum salam. I don't know why people. And Alhamdulillah, may Allah protect your daughter, your 13-year-old daughter. I mean, but you can't say that every single person attacked, just because one person attacked doesn't mean that every person in England attacked your. No, this is the thing. This is the same for the other side of the non-believers. It's the same for the Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Alhamdulillah, great stuff. I finally got on. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, I'm really good, bro. How are you?
MashaAllah, doing really well. I just saw your topic and I thought I'd come and join you. It's a really interesting topic, bro.
Yeah, it'd be really good for you to put your intake of what you think that we should do as Muslims when it comes to combating against, not combating, I mean, coming towards the narrative of Tommy coming to your town. Does that make sense?
So tell me, because just so that I make sure that I'm not sort of barking up the wrong tree. So just fill me in a little bit. What's happened? What is it that people are doing?
So yesterday in Oldham, yeah. Tommy came to do his conference, his voting thing to try to get votes in Oldham.
Okay.
So the Muslim Defence League, which is an organisation which has got like 6,000 followers on Facebook, they've been advertising for weeks that they're gonna counter this protest. So the scholars and the big people in Oldham have warned the youth against doing this, and they went against the scholars and the people. So yesterday, there's many videos you can watch if you just put them in of them being quite violent towards people, towards the other. But it's bad on both sides, to be honest, because I watched both sides, Imran, and their sides were saying the P word as well, and so both on both sides. So what my opinion on it is, that I don't agree that we should be constructing a same narrative as the EDL, because I don't think we'll be able to fight. It'll only cause more problems in the long run, because more people will start joining Tommy and voting for him.
So actually, what happened is that what was the reason for Tommy coming to?
Because he's electing for the MEP to be a Europe.
He was doing his campaigning, was he? Is that what he was doing?
His campaigning. And
so he wasn't doing like a demonstration or anything like that.
No.
So he was just coming along campaigning.
Yeah, campaigning.
Okay, and then what people have done is they formed this Muslim Defence League.
Muslim Defence League has been even when I was in the EDL. So, but it's growing since this. It's growing. So, alhamdulillah.
So they turned up and or they went there, and what was it? How were they? What were they met with? Was it like a small group of people who were campaigning and Tommy was amongst them? Or
well, it's basically well, the Muslims came. There's about 50 Muslims. And then on the other side, all the police. They had to have all the police. And then on the other side was all the Tommy Robinson who come to see Tommy Robinson. But I've seen a video of the Muslims throwing stuff at them, and there's kids in the crowd and stuff. And then they were throwing stuff back. So honestly, it was reminding me of the EDL days, to be honest with you. And the reason I've done this is because it bothered me, because I'm like, we don't want to see this on the streets. It's going to turn into something that it shouldn't get turned into.
I understand. So, and what sort of response have people been giving? I mean, you've given your opinion. Obviously, you disagree. And what sort of response have people been giving to you about your views? Are they saying that it's
well?
Right?
There's a guy in the group who defends him, and he said he's a part of the MDL, and he's showing a very emotional argument against the MDL. As in exactly what I would have said when I was in the EDL. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he's using that narrative. We can't keep letting them do this anymore to us. Well, I would have said that in the EDL about the Pakistani Muslims. So there's the same narrative, but with a different name.
I see what you mean. And what's the aim? I mean, the Pakistani Muslims. I just logged into live stream so I can actually see.
Yeah.
Saying. Okay, so what's the idea of the Muslim Defence League? So whenever these people come, you attack them. Is that the plan, or is there something beyond
I hope
that?
not, but that's the only way that the only way that the EDL are going to look at it, or the people of Tommy's side, they're going to look straight away. They're going to make videos of them saying that they're barbaric and violent.
Yeah.
For one, that's going to cause more people to come out for Tommy and vote, because they're going to see there's a problem in the country. Saying, look, because when we look at videos, we look at little snapshots and we put that into the full country. We just do that as normal human beings. So it's just going to cause more division. It's going to cause more of an uproar, if you ask me. But the people of MDL reckon that they're defending Islam, that they're doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's a part of their ways of going.
What is a part of their for doing what? They're saying that if they were to go and some people were to attack the opposition, that this is part of the religion. Is that what they're claiming to do? Yeah,
this is some of the narratives that I'm hearing. Yeah.
Wow, that's quite surprising.
And that the UK are killing Muslims, Imran has emphasised, and it's an emotional. My opinion is how to counter stuff like this is by reading books and gaining knowledge, and then you can go and you can challenge them on their principles, like the efdawah team does, like every week, and you see it at Speaker's Corner. But
let me just try and give some the thoughts that are going through my mind. So this is what I'm thinking at the moment. So the idea is that there are these groups of people who are trying to spread hatred about Islam by putting out narratives to the public that Muslims are these violent, aggressive people who are not fitting into your society, who you're at risk from, who your girls are at risk from. And they're trying to win these people over to that side of thinking. And I think that just on the top of my head, that if then Muslims, in whatever way, were violent towards these people when they were doing this, it doesn't mean not protesting, doesn't mean these things, but actually were violent, so that they responded with violence to these people. I think it would just feed that narrative and actually make their case stronger. So if I was a white Englishman who had some of these ideas of Tommy being given to me, and I thought, you know what, I'm not sure about if this is right or not, and then I see then I'm shown lots of young apparently Muslim men who are going around being violent, then that would, for me, push me towards Tommy a little bit more. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of.
So first of all, it's almost like shooting ourselves in the foot.
This is exactly my point, Imran. Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Sure. So the actual way to try and get that person who's that white Englishman who's not sure about this EDL message, the actual way to get him to understand what Islam and what Muslims are, and to change his views, or get him to step back from the reviews that are far right, is to actually engage with him. Say hello, let's go for a meal, let's have a conversation, let's talk about the things that you're worried about. Let me reassure you, this is what my religion is. And in this way, what you will then do is you'll inoculate that person, you'll immunize them against the Tommy rhetoric, because they will say, actually, you know what, I know a few Muslims, and this is what they've told me, and I don't really buy what Tommy is saying. And that's probably the approach to take it. And this is probably, for us as a minority, and Muslims are a minority in the West, particularly in the UK here. We need to understand that the people are generally ignorant about Muslims. They don't have much knowledge about Muslims. And the knowledge that they do have about Muslims comes from mostly the media. So they will hear things on the media, or they'll hear a Tommy video, or whatever is happening, and that's where they get their ideas from. We have a responsibility to counter that narrative. We have a responsibility to get out there and say, actually, these things you're being told about Islam isn't right. And the whole point is you engage with the non-Muslims and you teach them about Islam, and however that might be. So if it's your neighbor, definitely take them out for a meal. If it's someone you don't know, even however they present to you, try and be polite with them and you try and explain to them in a good way so they understand, so they get that actually, this is a Muslim guy. I'm even being rude with him, and actually, he was not showing the behavior that I'm told to expect from him by Tommy. And that's really, really why you need to that's really the way forward. The other thing that I think that comes to my mind is that if you have a response group that is violent in its response to another violent group, potentially violent group like EDL, and if I don't really know much about the Muslim Defence League, but if it is also a similar response and it's also violent, then the people that tend to go into these things, gravitate into these things, already have some idea of this is how they want to respond to these people. And I think it's not, and I think that's you. So you attract the sort of, I want to say this without being rude, but you attract sort of the criminal element of those groups of people. So most of the people who are going to be in the EDL, who are going to be violent, or who are going to have some sort of criminal background, and I suspect that probably similarly the other way around. And we don't really want these people, violent youth who don't actually have maybe a deep understanding of religion to be representing us. What we're required to do as Muslims is to be in this country is to follow our religion as best we can and to obey the laws of the land. This is what our religion teaches us to do, and being violent isn't that. If we feel that there's a group coming, we should facilitate protests against protests, etc., but not in a violent way. We should never resort to violence ourselves. It's a different thing if you're personally or individually attacked. That's a different thing entirely. But that's you have a right to self-defense. But basically, just going and responding violently to whoever is only going to entrench people in their views. The real point that I really wanted to make. So there's lots of things that are going through my mind, but one of the things that is going through my mind is that Tommy wants to. I mean, he's said it many times. He wants to start a race war. You've heard that, yeah? Isa?
Yeah, I'm listening.
This is what he wants. He wants to start a race war. He wants to start a war between people on some sort of boundary, ethnic, religious, whatever it is. That's his aim. That's his goal. And this is really just buying into that. We're basically doing what he wants us to do.
100%. I've just said this, Imran, before you came on.
Yeah,
I would just emphasising that we've given what he wanted. This is why he came to Oldham.
Yeah.
There's no other reason. If you've got a logical brain and you were Tommy, you won't come to Oldham of all places, or Blackburn, or for any other reason.
But it's just, and obviously he's going to go where it causes the most hassle and causes the most trouble and causes the most response. He wants Muslims to respond in a way that he can then point and say, look at these barbaric, violent people. Look at them, I told you so. And we've got to be cleverer than falling for this trick. We've got to be cleverer than that.
Yeah.
We don't need to be falling for if this guy comes along, pods us and then prods us, and then we turn into this sort of, ravaging, violent person, and they take pictures of that and then say this is Islam and Muslims in the UK. We have to be much more smart than doing that.
I've sat with some of the most violent English Defence League characters that I know as being a Muslim, and their response to me when I when their response to me is like, this talk has helped them come away from what they was actually thinking. Now, my point is that the Muslim Defence League, that's not gonna give the same narrative to them. So what they're gonna do, they're gonna push them away rather than bring them in and educate these people. The amount of people I've sat with, and now they don't even go to Tommy's protest anymore that much because they see the differences. Now,
I completely agree.
Now, them same group of friends that are messaging me now saying, "What's this about this Muslim Defence League?" They don't want to rejoin this English Defence League, but what they can see from this narrative is that the EDL within the Muslims, and that's what one guy said. One of my friends said to me, and that's why I'm doing the show today, is to say that I'm free from this, and I don't want to be a part of the MDL because of what it actually. Because they do say that it's for self defense, but that's what the EDL say as well. So it's just going to go down a big spiral of of violence. It only can turn to violence.
I mean, in terms of pushing people towards Tommy, who are non-Muslims towards Tommy, I think it's definitely going to happen with this sort of response. The second thing is that actually this is not how we're meant to be. The Sunnah is not like this, that we go around and being aggressive at all. The reality of the situation is that most British people are good, decent, tolerant people, family people who wouldn't say anything or do anything to anybody else, irrespective of the other person's creed or colour. And that's what we see. That's what we experience in our lives. There are some people, a minority, who do harbour ill intent towards Muslims and people of colour, and we shouldn't confuse these two people together. And what we do in trying to maybe respond to a small violent minority is that we push the majority towards that small violent minority, because we also come across as a violent minority. And we've got the media against us. I mean, the media is already going to pick up on anything to do with a Muslim who is behaving in a way that they would consider bad or negative, and this is just giving them, giving them like a big snapshot of things that they can show around the world to show how bad Muslims and Islam is. And we shouldn't be. I don't know. I don't understand this response, if I'm honest with you, Issa.
Yeah. I can see the same narrative. So, from my opinion, I can see when I used to sit there and watch news and think that all the Pakistani Muslims were against us here in England and that they were taking over. I can see the same narrative in the MDL. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
What they're watching Tommy grow, and it looks like he's making videos every day, and it looks like he's growing. And people are and that can become fear of what's going to happen to us Muslims, and then they've come up with this, instead of coming up with, which we should do, is gain knowledge, read books, and then go out and give dawah. Instead, they've thought, let's make a group like them to counter it. But I don't believe it's going to counter it. I just believe that Tommy's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger by us pushing that narrative, because every time he puts a video out saying Muslims are being violent, barbaric, the people who are watching the media now and thinking the same mentality, they're thinking, well, we need to go help Tommy.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, and I think really the best thing that we can do for the people around, and we have to start with your own circle of influence. So I have influence over myself and my family, and I have influence from over the friends that I meet and the colleagues that I interact with at work, and the people that I interact with on my way to work and the way back from. These are my circles of influence, and what we really have to do is, in those circles of influence, make a difference. Show them this is what a Muslim is. Show them the love and the charity and the compassion and the care about humanity. Tell them about, the reason I behave in this way is because my Prophet, peace be upon him, taught me to behave in this way. Prophet, peace be upon him, said, I have not come except to perfect character. That's a really powerful statement. It means that I did not come except to do this thing. And what was that thing? To perfect character. So we have to show the character of Islam and Muslims in our character. If we're not doing that, if we're effing and blinding and we're displaying negative character, then we're actually going directly against what our Prophet, peace be upon him, has told us. So we need to be that person who represents Islam to our family, our neighbors, and our colleagues at work. So then they will understand that actually, Islam is not a negative thing, but a positive thing for our society. Now, if all of us did this within our spheres, then that sphere covers literally the UK, because there is not a place where there aren't Muslims virtually in the UK. Yeah. And if you want to give something, the best thing we can give to another human being who isn't a Muslim is to teach them about Islam, and may Allah guide them and make dua for them. And this is really what we need to be.
This is so many misguided people within the other side of the group that need the guidance, but this is not going to give them. This is not going to give them guidance. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
By fighting the same as their narrative, fighting narrative with narrative, it's not going to give them guidance. They're just going to think, oh, they're violent. They're just proving us right in a way. That's what they'll be thinking. That's what I would have thought anyway.
It's a for Tommy Robinson, it's a win-win situation. Whether he can come and campaign, or whether he can come and have lots of Muslims attack him and then display that to the world, he's won both ways.
Yeah, he's gaining.
Yeah, absolutely both ways, and that's the problem, that we need to be much more smart to realize: is this going to be positive for Islam or not positive for Islam? Is this going to help our fellow Muslims? So these big groups of people who may be, I don't know a lot about them, and if I misrepresent them, not, but who are going and then attacking other hate groups. You know, I mean, EDL definitely, I think, is a hate group. But if they're attacking them, and that's fine, because to a certain extent, these brothers are together. They're in a group. They're relatively protected. But someone who is a sister walking with a hijab on in the street one evening with her children, there may be someone who you've annoyed because of this behavior who may take it out on that person. So we're making our other Muslims who are not involved directly in this also targets of retaliation for this behavior, and we shouldn't be doing that.
I said this is exactly the same point I made. Yeah, this is it's crazy, but it comes from lack of understanding, a lack of when you think you're doing something right. When people are telling you you're doing something wrong, you kind of ignore that narrative. Yeah. I remember when I was a part of when I was coming to the end of EDL, and I was thinking I need to come away from this. Someone told me. Someone told me that I'm wrong in what I was doing. Mm-hmm. Even though I knew in my head that it is wrong what I was doing, I still ignored that, and ignored them. And I thought, were they telling me to tell me I'm wrong in what I'm doing? So I understand when Muslims like myself or someone saying something about that what they strongly believe in, the MDL, they're going to be very emotional about it, and they're going to probably condemn us and not want naught to do with us. But it's just the way it is. We've got to come from a civilized perspective.
I understand. This is going to be controversial, so I apologize if that's people taking the wrong way. But I sincerely don't think that the people who are part of the MDL are necessarily bad people. There's definitely a situation happening where there are Muslims who are being attacked, particularly sisters, and they're very worried about what the future might hold, and they're looking for a way to maybe respond to this violence that's coming in this direction, and the perceived threat that might be, things may escalate in the future. Yeah. The only issue is that they've got the solution isn't the solution they found. That's the thing. The method they're using is not the answer. So definitely something needs to be done. We need to counter this narrative. We need to be vociferous sort of voices against the haters, against Islam. And we need to make sure that we, wherever Tommy does appear, that his views are countered. But the way to do that isn't the way brothers in MDL have decided is the way. It doesn't work.
I agree that a lot of the brothers in the MDL, there will be nice brothers. They're probably family brothers. Like when I would agree that some of them in the English Defence League were nice people, but they have a passion for something that's in their mind. That's I don't think that's there. Like there were not there in the English Defence League. Do you get what I mean?
Absolutely.
So when I was thinking the Muslims were here to take over the lands of Britain and come here to kill us and to rape our women and stuff, that was all a fallacy. Now I believe that some of the brothers from the MDL are believing that the guy, there was just a guy in the chat, and he was saying that it's like World War II, the Jews.
I completely understand that.
It's understandable, that emotion, but it's not as big as that. Things like I understand that if things are getting banned and the halal meat gets banned and hijab gets banned and then I'll understand it. But one important thing that we are forgetting is the freedom that we've got here to go to pray, and the freedom and there's good people here in this country that treat Muslims fairly.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think just to be a little bit balanced. So definitely there is this is sort of the plan, the layout of what happened. Before you can be violent towards the people and the society doesn't react, you have to take away the humanness of those people. You have to take them out of being regarded as humans by the rest of the society. And the way that is done is by dehumanizing them and demonizing them. And that's done by the media that put out these negative narratives about Muslims and all over the world, all over the media, and to give the general society the view that these people are not like us. There's something different. They're a threat. They're a danger. And this sort of media and these sorts of views that are put out there to cause this demonization and dehumanization of Muslims is driven by an ideology which, Tommy and these people who are like him represent. Now we got to see that chain, and definitely in the 1930s Germany, this is what was happening. The Jews were being systematically dehumanized in the society until it got to the stage where even attacking a Jewish person in public wasn't really raising much of a problem. So definitely I can see the parallels. And it is worrying for me as well as a Muslim. I'm a father. I have family here, my grandparents, etc. I'm concerned about where the things are heading. But what we have to do is break that chain of the ideology then producing these ideas and propagating them so that people think that these people are not like us. And the way you break that chain is you directly attack the narrative. And the way that you attack the narrative is that you go and you show people and talk to people and demonstrate that this narrative is false.
Alhamdulillah.
Fighting and causing violence, and it reinforces that narrative. It makes the outcome more likely that the society will turn against this fringe minority that's violent in their midst, as they would view it. So we have to be much cleverer than that. And I think if we do show people, you just have to look at efdawah's latest video is a shahada from a sister, mashallah, who accepted a religion. The people are dying for, literally, they're dying out for a spiritual connection with their creator, and we have to demonstrate this for these people so they can come to the religion, inshallah, and make that connection to the creator for themselves.
I'm going to just look at the comments now. The elder Muslims have a duty to stand against MDL and teach them the true Islam. Show your stand against them, just like you get the white English standing against Tommy, but standing up for Muslims. Yeah, the actual Oldham community went against the MDL. And I know one of the sheikhs there, and he's recently put out a post. I'll send you it after, Imran.
Okay.
That they condemned them and they spoke against the MDL doing what they did, and they still did it. So there's nothing you can do other than sit back and watch the outcome.
No, absolutely. I think it's good that and we definitely there is one of the things you'll find, and this is going to be another controversial thing, so I apologize. I'm not going to offend anyone, but whenever people distance themselves from the scholars, whoever the scholars might be to a certain extent, but the established scholars, if they distance themselves from the scholars, then you're likely to be misguided. I'm not making any more statement than that. So we really have to make sure that whatever response we're giving, we go and check, actually, is this compatible with Islam in terms of how we present ourselves? Now, if you disregard anyone with what would be who's traditionally regarded as having knowledge, if you disregard them all, then what you're saying is I'm making it up as I go along. And that's a recipe for disaster. We should never be doing that. We should always be checking with, there are lots of reputable scholars that this is what we're thinking of doing in terms of responding to this particular threat that's coming to our community. Is this the reasonable approach to that, or should we be doing something different? And accept the guidance that the scholars with knowledge can give you.
Someone made a really good point, Imran, and MDL don't realise that people like Isa can change. So why don't they believe any other EDL member can come to Islam too?
Absolutely. That's a beautiful point.
That's a really good point. Say that again.
Who said that in the comments?
Someone called my 240 IB goal.
Okay, mashallah, that's a really, really powerful point. And the power in the point is this: is that if Umar radiallahu anh can change, this is how we have to think about this. If Umar radiallahu anh, before he became a Muslim, was an ardent enemy of the Muslims, if Umar radiallahu anh can change then, and he became a powerful force for the religion, and we have people who have had the same journey. I mean, mashallah, you say you're a classic description, classic example of somebody who went from marching with EDL for 4 years, being well known to the ranks of the EDL, to then coming to the religion completely and accepting Islam. And now, mashallah, you're a very powerful voice for Muslims and Islam in Britain. So really,
inshallah,
we have to, may Allah increase you, inshallah, and keep our intention pure. But really, what we have to do is to look at every single person there and make dua that Allah guides them, and give us an opportunity to give them some dawah or something that will help them to come to the deen. So that was a really beautiful, really powerful point. So these are all our brothers and sisters in humanity. They're not on the guidance in the sense that they're being misguided by somebody like Tommy, and we need to help them to come off from this. As a minimum, come away from the Tommy ideas, but as a maximum, even accepting that Allah is their creator and coming to the deen, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. It's quite small at the minute, but things can grow. Tommy came and he got the videos that he wanted, and he's walking away laughing. Do you get what I mean? It's like 1 minute. Let's see if there's any more comments.
But you're right. Like I said, it's a win-win for Tommy. If he can show Muslims are violent, he's won. For him, he's met his objective. That's really what it's about for him. So we've got to approach these things. How can we make sure this guy doesn't get what he wants to get out of this? That's the way we have to approach it. And there's only one way, and that is not to be showing him a face of violence, not to be showing him a face of bad manners. I mean, if there were children in the crowd who had come to support Tommy, then definitely no one should have been thinking about doing anything violent at all. I mean, children are innocent, whoever's children they are. You definitely don't want to be having any violence around children, subhanAllah.
Yeah, well, when I seen the video of them throwing whatever they were throwing, I don't know what they were throwing. I don't know what they were throwing, Imran, but at the end of the day, there were kids in them crowds. Kids are innocent beings. They don't know. They're not born to it. Alhamdulillah. So I just wanted to come on and point out a few opinions that I had on this matter, because I think it's important that we speak out against stuff like this.
No, I think you did it's a really good idea, and I think putting yourself to the brothers and sisters who are in parts of these groups that are being violent, because I don't believe maybe everyone is, but the parts that are, look at Isa, look at Brother Isa, mashallah. He is 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, however long before, he was standing on the other side of the fence with the people that you were fighting against today. If he'd had received the response, I can almost guarantee, if he had received the response that the MDL had given to these people, his journey may have not have happened. Do you think that's reasonable, Isa, to say that?
Say that again, sorry.
If you'd been met with violent Muslims like this,
yeah,
then maybe your journey to Islam would have either been slowed or not happened at all.
It'd have been delayed, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's what we really have to be careful of, that we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, quite literally, in the way we respond. We have to be much more nuanced. We are much more vocal, much more intellectual in our approach, much more compassionate to the average person who's a decent person, and show them what our religion actually is. It's a religion of compassion. It's a religion of practicalness that helps in the society. It's a religion that looks after the elderly. It looks after the neighbors. It looks after the destitute in the streets. We're enjoying to feed the hungry, subhanAllah. I mean, if you read Surah Al-Ma'un, it's a very small chapter of the Quran. It it talks about the person who doesn't believe in the Day of Judgment, and it talks about this person as we're told, do you know what this person would look like? And one of the descriptions that we're given the characteristics of this person who will end up in the hellfire. And one of the characteristics of this person is he does not even encourage the feeding of the poor. And we have to start to do these things in the society so that we become valuable for the society. So that if the Muslims are not here, if the Muslims were disappeared from the UK, that there would be a deficit in the society, that the people would notice and wish that we were here. So we have to step into these roles and these bounds to try and make an impact in our society so that Muslims are seen as valuable, productive members of the society. And this will smash Tommy to pieces. Yep. Because this is exactly what he doesn't want to hear. This is exactly what he doesn't want to demonstrate. So that's the way to approach him, to smash his narrative, completely show that it's the opposite is the truth, and the Muslims are a valuable, youthful, productive part of society. And in that time, we should be calling to Allah, because that's really what we fundamentally should be doing for every human being, because we believe there is a certain way of living and being in the world that will give you a better hereafter. And because we love that for ourselves, we love it for you also. And that should be the compassion that we're looking at these people for. Look at every person that you see there as being violent and angry towards you as being a possible revert to Islam in the future. I make dua for them, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah, so I agree with your point. You said it a lot better than how I said it when I first said it. Yeah, alhamdulillah, the wisdom of Dr. Imran.
Alhamdulillah. But I definitely it's definitely a really good idea, mashallah, that you did this, and I think it's necessary.
Can you hear that, Imran?
What's that?
Can you hear the background noise?
No, I can't. Is there a...
Someone's doing a bit of streaming.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was struggling to hear you, but if you can't hear it, that's good. I think the pop filter takes that away. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, so that's some really good advice, that, because it's better than I would have advised it, because sometimes stuff in your brain sounds better than when it comes out your mouth.
Alhamdulillah. Brother, your attention was perfect. Different people, they respond to different ways of speaking. So I'm sure that with our combination, we've affected a lot of people and maybe given our ideas across, inshallah. May Allah keep our intentions pure. Jazakallah khair, brother, for letting me know you were doing this.
Alhamdulillah. Someone's asked you a question, Imran. How do you keep your cool when doing dawah?
Alhamdulillah. It's not always easy, and I've not always kept my cool. I have been upset a few times. And I think really you have to sort of remember what essentially dawah means. Follow the examples of the Prophet, peace be upon him, because he in very extreme circumstances and difficult situations has always kept his cool, peace be upon him, and we have to emulate that. But if you look at the term dawah is like an invitation, like you're inviting someone to a meal. Now imagine how you would invite someone to a meal. Are you going to grab them by the collar and throw them through your door and wrestle them to the ground and then drag them to the table and then slam the plate in front of them and shove the lamb chops into their mouth and hold their chin and move their mouth up and down until they swallow? No, you're not, subhanAllah. The way you're going to do it is you're going to talk about how beautiful the meal is and how long you've taken to prepare it and all of the aromas and what they're going to feel. And this is the invitation. So you have to invite everyone with compassion and love. And even when someone is coming to you aggressively, what you don't want to become is the person that turns that person away from the deen. You don't want to become that person. There's a dua, and it's coming to, I can't remember it now, that do not make us a reason for the people to turn away from the deen. And that's a sort of paraphrase of a dua. I'm not remembering it completely, but really we need to have those two aims in mind. We're inviting beautifully, and we're trying not to be an obstacle for this person to come to the religion. If you can do those two things, however they're responding to you, you're doing it for the sake of Allah. The reward is from Allah. Honor is from Allah. So whether the person thinks you've won or you've lost, whether the people around you think that you're some big thing or not a big, nothing matters. only your status in the sight of Allah is important, and we have to humble ourselves, because literally we are nothing. If Allah had not guided us, we would not be guided. May Allah make everyone upon the truth, and make our intention sincere for Him, inshallah. So it's not easy, but we have to try. That's really the bottom line.
I think that's what it's about, the both narratives as well. Though you made a point that made me think. Then it's about winning and losing when it comes to arguing about when you're arguing with some members of the one side of EDL and one side of the other side. It's about winning the argument or winning the fight, rather than the actual principle or the actual, understanding of what we should be doing for dawah, not going out and protesting. That doesn't give much dawah, man. I think dawah in action is very important as well, isn't it, Imran? Would you agree?
No, it's not about winning the argument. It's about winning the heart.
Yeah.
We have to win the other person's heart, and you can't do that in a way that humiliates them or belittles them, or there are times and places where firmness and harshness is needed, and some brothers are very good at this, but mostly gentleness and kindness is what's required. And if we show this to the people, if we show them this is the reality of our religion and how we invite and why we invite, people like Tommy will not have even a foothold in the country in terms of their ideas.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right. I think he's built up a big fallacy to people, man, and putting fear in the Muslims' sisters' hearts, and that is growing, and he's massive just because he had 1 million followers on here and there. It doesn't necessarily that mean everybody's with you.
Yeah,
that's definitely a fallacy, because a lot of people I speak to, they don't agree with this sort of narrative.
They don't.
And
sorry, go on. And I just about to say, this is these people, they show themselves to be bigger and more influential than reality actually is. So there are small pockets of people that follow them here in the UK, but not a massive number of people at all. I don't think that the vast majority of Britons, like I've said, are decent people who wouldn't be horrible or violent towards their fellow human beings. And they are the ones themselves will call out the violence when they see it happening, or the discrimination when they see it happening. Mashallah, we can practice our religion. We're not inhibited or prevented from going to the masjid. I mean, we're having Ramadan at the moment. Mashallah, we're going to our Tarawih Salah, praying into the middle of the night, and mashallah, and coming home. And we're lucky to have our food. There are brothers and sisters all over the world who are actually suffering very severe persecution all around. And we have to thank Allah that He's put us in this position, but we have a responsibility that we're in this position. This responsibility is to call to the religion and also do whatever we can to help the brothers and sisters suffering around the world.
What advice would you give to the brothers who went on the demonstration as it's been Ramadan?
Alhamdulillah. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know the brothers, and advice is best given to the individual in a one-to-one, away from the public. But all I would say is that all of our words here really are meant with the best of intentions towards them. We're not saying that people are violent or bad people per se, but that we have to look at our methodology of combating whatever threat is coming towards the Muslims generally. And we can't just emulate the people who are attacking us, because then what is the difference between us and them? What is the difference between us and them? And we are different. We are not those violent people who are attacking us. We aren't like them. And the only way to show that is to demonstrate that. May Allah make it easy for us.
I mean, yeah, I think it was. It's been a very good advice, Imran. It's good. Yeah, we don't want to become advisors of a group of people we don't know much about. All we know is that it's not. All I know, it's not the best idea. One, it's Ramadan, and two, there's many people who are misguided within both forms of groups, I'd say.
Yeah.
That need guidance, and that's what we're here for, alhamdulillah.
I mean, it's a month of the Quran, and really we should be spending our time as much as we can praying, reading the Quran and connecting with Allah, and charge ourselves up for the next may Allah take us to the next Ramadan, but charge us up to the next Ramadan, so that we so get through these 12 months with a spiritual high, inshallah. So really focus on these things and make dua, because ultimately everything is in Allah's hands. Whatever's going to come our way is going to come our way. The being able to remove anything from us in terms of harm is Allah. So whatever Tommy wants to do, unless Allah allows him to harm us, nothing will happen. And if Allah has allowed him to harm us, then whatever we do, we're not able to stop it. So we have to be much more rely on Allah, have good tawakkul, strong tawakkul for Allah, without in Allah, and not let these people intimidate us, and be smart to understand the narrative and counter that narrative. And may Allah make us, unite the ummah. We don't want to become we're not dividing the people up just because we went on to a march. We're all the ummah, and we should be united to, forward to make our concerns addressed and bring them forward for the society to deal with, inshallah.
And trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well.
So,
making dua and trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with dua that you're making to stop people dividing, and trust that this will happen. But the majority of people in this country are not divided. And when we talk about stuff like this, we're talking about the little minorities parts of the group.
Absolutely. And it's always some people shout the loudest and they heard. That doesn't necessarily mean that the rest of the people are like this.
Yeah, last night it was iftar, Ramadan iftar. Many mosques was opened the doors for.
Okay.
So again.
Alhamdulillah, that's great.
Yeah, so there was a lot. It was all across the country. It's called Taste Ramadan. That's what it's called. So it was an invitation for non-Muslims to come and eat in the mosque with Muslims and try to understand Ramadan. When I've seen the pictures online, I've been amazed with how many people turn up. Even the police turn up and they have food. And so there is a sense of good communities out here and people that want to get to know our religion. I've seen a lot of videos of people partaking in Ramadan, doing vlogs and then partaking. If you put Ramadan into YouTube, you'll see people partaking in Ramadan on their YouTube.
You'd be surprised. I work with many different people, non-Muslims as well, mashallah. And I know of my non-Muslim colleagues who, because the Muslims are fasting, they will fast with them, even though they don't believe in Islam. But they will make themselves. They will fast as well for that day, because they're trying, in their mind, they're trying to help make it easier for us. So there are people who, are doing these amazing. This is an amazing thing to do. There, people are leaving their food for the sake of making it easier for us at work, even though it's not required. We're not asking them to do this. But there are some people who even care about us enough to do that, and we have to be compassionate towards these people. I mean, there's a sister on there. I think let me just see. I saw a really good Daisy M. Mashallah, she made a really good comment. She said, "We British Muslims love this country. It's our home. I would say 99.9% of us just want to get along with everyone and our life. England is unique. There is nowhere in the world like England, and I completely agree with this."
This is my future Imran.
My grandfather fought in the Second World War, along with hundreds of thousands of other people from the Indian subcontinent. So we literally have, my family literally, and other people's families have literally bled for this country. This is our country. I regard myself as being English. I do, even though I'm British and I'm not white, etc. Whenever I'm anywhere else in the world, I don't feel like I belong. And that's because this is our country. We love it. We wish the best for it. We wish the best for the people for it. We want the people of this country who are indigenous to see that we are here in love and compassion, and we're not a threat at all. And the only way we're going to do that is to show them the real face of Islam and what they really like. When you're making your Ramadan meals, take them to your neighbours. Doesn't matter who they are, and hand them out to them. They will love it. Build the relationships, build the bridges, counter that Tommy narrative, and this will do much more to devastate it than any other demonstration type of stuff will do, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, Jordan. Welcome to the stream.
Oh, mashallah, Jordan is on. Mashallah, he is, yes.
So let's have a look. See you anymore before, because I'll end the stream about 1:30, Imran.
Okay.
And then I'll pray after.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Jordan, mashallah, Jordan is another example. This is somebody who would have been on the other side of that line, who was very much Tommy orientated, and was worried about how Muslims were going to affect his family, affect the people around him. And what led him to Islam was really looking into the religion to find out how he could protect his family from Islam. So, mashallah, we can't write anyone off, however much they might be. There are lots of ummahs, may Allah bless this ummah with lots of ummahs, inshallah. So we have to really, even these people who are hating us, we have to sort of hope that Allah will guide them to Islam and make dua to them, to Allah for them, and do our bit to give them dawah so that they can come to the religion, inshallah.
Yeah, even if they don't become Muslim, we can still share relationships with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I share relationships with a lot of people who are not Muslim, and they've got a better opinion of Islam now compared to what they did before. Through my actions of just saying, "Come on, let's go out, let's do this, let's do that." Alhamdulillah.
No, you're right, and I think I know that I keep talking about bringing people to Islam, because I think for me, ultimately, the reality of the world is this is what would be ideal for them as well as for us. But you're absolutely right. If somebody, because it's up to people, Allah says in the Quran, like there is no compulsion in religion. So if someone doesn't want to do that, that's not a problem. We can be absolutely civil and kind to them, and have a good relationships with them. And this is what we're required to do.
Yeah, I have a lot of relationships with non-Muslims, and we tend not to have this sort of divide of you're Muslim, that we're not Muslim. We just act like normal people.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's it, and get on. I just do everything in an halal way. Like if we go for food, they don't mind eating halal food. If not, I'll eat vegetarian as long as it's not a bar and stuff like that. I tend to, if they're going somewhere, I'll eat a vegetarian meal. Do you know if it's there? Because what we do, yeah, we alternative. So one time it's their turn, then it's my turn. And do you get what I mean?
Right, mate. And actually, whilst I was talking to you, Isa, I've just found the verse, and this is probably really important. It might be a good way to sort of just end the talk. But this is from Surah Mutahina, and it's basically the chapter 60. And I'm just going to read you a couple of verses. And this is the dua that I was remembering that I couldn't remember the wording of from the Quran. So I'm going to read it to you. It says, "Our Lord, make us not a trial for the disbelievers, and forgive us, our Lord. Verily, you are the only Almighty, the wise." So this is making a dua so that we don't become a reason for the non-believers to turn away from the religion. So this is really powerful. And then it goes on. It says here, let me see. That was verse 5, and then this is verse 7. I'm going to read 6, 7, and 8, inshallah. So it says, "Certainly there has been in them an excellent example for you to follow, for those who look forward to meeting with Allah and the last day. And whoever turns away, then verily Allah is rich, free of all wants, worthy of praise. Perhaps," and this is verse 7, "perhaps Allah will make friendship between you and those whom you hold as enemies, and Allah has power over all things, and Allah is oft forgiving and most merciful." And verse 8 really is the most important one here. "Allah does not forbid you to deal justly and kindly with those who fought not against you on account of religion, and do not drive you from your homes. Verily Allah loves those who deal in equity." So from the Quran itself, we're told that we shouldn't become, because if we're told to make dua to Allah that we don't become a fitna, a trial for the disbelievers, we're told not to be in that position where your actions may turn someone away from the deen. And then we're told that we should make friendship with people as long as they don't fight us for our religion, which is, alhamdulillah, fine, and deal justly and kindly with them. Subhanallah, I mean, this is really is powerful. May Allah give us a tawfiq to follow the guidance, inshallah.
That was powerful, yeah. Alhamdulillah. So I'm going to end the stream there on that note. Alhamdulillah, I don't want to destroy that beautiful verse.
Okay, so for calling me.
Thanks for coming, Imran. Jazakallah khair for putting your input, inshallah. Guys, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.